Hello everyone, this is Alex the Blue Man, and welcome back to my MCU-a-thon. For this one, let's fast forward to a few months later with The Incredible Hulk. At the time, I was quite a fan of the Hulk character, so like usual, I was excited to see this movie. Here we are, over 10 years later, and many say that this is one of the weaker films of the MCU, along with Iron Man 2 and Thor 2. Does this movie really deserve some of the rage it has gotten over recent years? Let's have a closer look and figure it out. Like my previous review, there will be some spoilers, so don't watch this video if you haven't watched the movie yet. So in this movie, we see our main character Bruce Banner, who turns into the Hulk, trying to run away from the government to cure himself from his gamma radiation-induced abilities and sickness, while behind the scenes a rogue soldier attempts to find powers of his own. This movie is basically a run-from-the-law type arc, but how it worked is because it's very fitting for a character like the Hulk, trying to run and hide out of fear for his life. That is this film's strongest aspect. The power-hungry rogue soldier aspect I also personally think fits this movie's tone. Basically, anyone who witnesses something powerful can have a desire to achieve said power. Also, both those aspects are a double threat. Challenges for the main character to try to counter and overcome during his personal and psychological quest. Another positive I want to mention was the soundtrack. It's pretty much one of the more memorable music, up there with the first two Thor movies, the Avengers movies, and the first Captain America. The highlights of this movie, in my opinion, were the appearances of the Hulk himself. I remember getting goosebumps whenever Hulk appears on the screen, and those times go from an action-type perspective to a humanizing perspective, when it comes to who he cares about most of all. One moment I geeked out was where he was given and refused a pair of purple stretch pants, and I swear that moment has to be a nod to the comics. Moving on to the characters themselves, firstly we have Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. This movie isn't just about Hulk himself, it's also about his alter ego, his original alter ego going through a lot just to rid himself from his gamma infection, as I call it. It was like a psychological battle for him to keep Hulk inside out of fear. Next there's Dr. Elizabeth Ross. There's not much for me to say about her, except the way she talks, which is mostly bland, but it never bothered me because one of those reasons is she doesn't really appear until an hour in or so. There's General Ross, and yes, he and the character I just mentioned before are related. His goal is to capture Bruce for unknown purposes. It's not explained very well of why that's his goal. What I can think of is he deems him as a threat. There's Samuel Stearns, whose alias is Mr. Blue. Early in the film, at first, he's like an anonymous presence, and then he showed himself to be like a geeky scientist stereotype. And sorry if that sounded exaggerative. And then you have Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination. Basically just a power-hungry type villain, wanting to be the strongest soldier after taking a sample of the Super Soldier Serum, which is a good Easter egg to Captain America. Overall, despite the underdeveloped side characters, from the music, the arc, the action, and personally for me some of the nostalgia, I enjoyed and liked the movie quite a lot. So it's definitely one of my favorite movies of the last decade. There are some people who would think this is one of the more weaker MCU movies, but for me, it's one of the more memorable. So I'm going to give The Incredible Hulk an 8.5 out of 10. That's 2 MCU movies down, only several more to go. So join me this Friday for my next review for Iron Man 2, but also join me soon as I finally continue through God of War 4. Don't forget to like this video, comment down your thoughts on this movie, and I hope you all have a great Bluerific day.